Thanks so much for being here at the real highlight, I think, of the week. Being at a university, the greatest blessing is being able to spend a lot of time with younger people, with all the energy, optimism, and spirit to drive change in the world. And this is an incredible occasion now to honor some young leaders in the natural capital realm who are really driving just beautiful arcs of impact in their regions and inspiring people everywhere. So let's just dive in. The vision of this prize is to elevate young leaders who are advancing the kind of world we're all wishing and hoping for and all working toward, and to basically learn a bit about them and feel the joy in their work and bring that some of that joy into our own lives and work. And specifically this year, we're shining a light on early career people in MDBs, the multilateral development banks, helping bring visibility, credibility, and impact, through their work with policymakers. So bringing the science of nature's values and benefits to people right into the heart of policymaking, of planning, of finance, and just changing practices and changing hearts and minds along with that. We're also trying, through this prize, to build their professional experience, build their capacity, extend their network, and mainly, third, learn a lot from them, strengthen NatCap, strengthen our whole partnership by learning from their insights through them, directly through their projects, through their mentors. So we feel extremely fortunate to be able to launch the prize. This is the first year ever. We're really grateful to Chuck and Roberta for cooking up this idea, Chuck and Roberta Katz for the inspiration and kickoff support to advance something like this in the world. And I'd like to turn over now to the fabulous inaugural dean of this Stanford Doerr School of Sustainability that you've heard about through the week, Dean Arun Majumdar, to bestow the honor upon our first recipients. Thank you.
Thank you, Gretchen. I'm so excited to be here. There are 3 award winners I was reading their biography, and they're just amazingly extraordinary people. But before we go there, I just want to take this opportunity to thank Gretchen for your thought leadership for the last 2 decades to build this global community and to galvanize them towards creating a future where humanity and planet can thrive together.
Thanks.
In fact, that is the mission of the school, is to create a future where humanity and our planet can thrive in concert and perpetuity. And you're leading the way. First of all, just a show of hands, I know it's late in the day, you may need some coffee and all of that, which is good, but how many people are here at Stanford campus for the first time? That's terrific. How many in the United States for the first time? Few. Well, a very warm welcome to all of you to America and to Stanford University. It is a little warm out there, but this is, even if it's not warm, a warm welcome to all of you. So, just to give you a little background, when Stanford was founded in 1885, its purpose was a core mission of research and education, but to promote public welfare and to work on behalf of humanity. That's how Stanford started. And nearly 140 years later, the Doerr School of Sustainability is honored to build on that legacy and NatCap is really leading the way. So how did the school start? Just a little bit of history. It took 5 years. Things in academia don't happen that quickly. This took 5 years, and by academic standards, that's fast, and happened through COVID, the pandemic. And it's the first school Stanford has launched in 75 years. And it is really while it's a school, amongst other 6 other schools, it has been given the responsibility and the stewardship to galvanize and mobilize our whole campus, all the faculty, students, staff, whoever is interested, and inspire them to look at sustainability, which is arguably one of the most important, if not the most important and defining challenge and opportunity of the 21st century. Now, universities are neatly divided into business school, engineering, science, and humanities. The issue of sustainability cuts across all of them. So universities are not designed to address this problem, which is quintessential 21st century, at least at this scale. So this requires some reimagination of the university, of academia, and how we create value for society to be a public welfare. Because this challenge will require a whole campus. So I would also say that this challenge is so big that there's no single institution, and we need to be humble about it. There's no single institution that can address this individually. We need partnerships. We need collaboration. And that's central to our vision. And this, what you have created, Gretchen, is exactly the kinds of partnership and collaboration and a community that we need to address this issue. So the world is looking for a model of how to address this and how to go on a low-carbon diet. Now, I've been on a few diets. It hasn't really helped me, right? But it needs a change of lifestyle. It needs a change of thinking and reimagination. But it's not only a carbon diet, it is also communities that are weathering, literally, no pun intended, climate extremes. And it is about biodiversity, some of the things that you care about. And so we all need this because at the end of the day, it's all about our children and grandchildren. I have a saying, I've said this so many times, my staff decided to paint it on the office wall. We do not inherit this earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. It's an indigenous saying, and it really captures how we should think about the future. Whatever we do, the actions we take, we are borrowing from a future because otherwise we have a debt to pay to future generations. And to address this at speed and scale requires knowledge, requires innovation, solutions, and an alignment of technologies, policies, finance, markets, and sensible regulations. We also need an intense focus about communities. It's about people at the end of the day. It's people and planet. The community part is super important, especially our underserved communities, so that everyone is ensured a prosperous and healthy future. Those underserved communities need to be at the table where the decisions are made. And that is not the history of the 20th century. And that's what we need to create. So the NatCap is a model, is one of those models where it has been done, curated. It takes 2 decades, a decade or more, to create a community, to create that future. And that's what you all have done. So the expanse of NatCap goes beyond just a single place in the world. I know there's been a lot of impact in China, but it frankly has to be worldwide. Because that's the future every community, every country, every mother, every father wants to have for the children. So it is a global network of 150 research partners with more than 350 implementation partners across public and private sectors. When we launched the school 2 years ago, I promised in my opening remarks that we will use all the powers we have, the knowledge, the education, the talent, the innovation, the resources, the solutions, and the influence to restore Mother Earth for our children and grandchildren. And NatCap is keeping that promise. So on behalf of the Doerr School of Sustainability, I'm really just honored to be here with the NatCap team and your scores of partners of leaders and commitment and innovation around the world. So those are, I just felt that I need to honor the NatCap team and all of you who are here today. Now, with that background and that context, the three individuals who I'm going to describe, and I did not know them. Just read them, read their background. It's just extraordinary. These are the three winners of the Natural Capital Young Leaders Prize. And these are individuals advancing a world that recognizes the values of nature and driving innovation and natural capital approaches. So the first is Ngao Mubanga. Ngao Mubanga is an environmental specialist at the World Bank based in Lusaka, Zambia. She's an inspiring leader and champion of natural capital accounting, leveraging Africa's rich natural wealth for sustainable development. She oversees the implementation of sustainable landscape management and nature-based tourism programs in Zambia and Zimbabwe, and has made significant contributions to putting natural capital on Zambia's national balance sheet. Thanks to her passion and determination, natural capital accounting is now being institutionalized in Zambia. In addition, since 2019, Ngao has also spearheaded the African Natural Capital Accounting Community of Practice, a regional learning and knowledge platform financed by the World Bank's Global Program on Sustainability. This group has been a major catalyst to adopting natural capital accounting in Africa. It was established in Kampala, Uganda, Natural Capital Accounting Policy Forum in 2019 and brings together the professionals from government, the development community, civil society organizations, the private sector, research groups, and academia. It has over 500 members from 48 African countries. To date, 17 African countries have either created pilot accounts or have a routine embedded natural capital accounting system. About 120 participants from 30 African countries and international partners met in Nairobi for the second African Natural Capital Accounting Policy Forum last year. The forum issued a Nairobi CAP declaration and call to action on natural capital accounting, asserting the timeliness and value of these approaches in tackling climate and nature challenges. The Natural Capital Project at Stanford and the World Bank are really thrilled to present Ngao with this award, recognizing her pivotal role in promoting natural capital approaches and a sustainable future across Africa. Please give a warm welcome to Ngao.
Yeah, let's take one picture together.
The second awardee, Voskehat Gregoria. Voskehat Gregorian is head of the Department of Specially Protected Areas of Nature and Biodiversity Policy within the Ministry of Environment of the Republic of Armenia. She has established herself as a pivotal figure in the field of biodiversity conservation in Armenia, contributing significantly to the protection and sustainable management of the country's natural resources. She has been instrumental in developing comprehensive programs, legislation, and strategies, including establishing management plans for key protected areas across the country and a biodiversity monitoring system. Voskehat is also working towards developing eco-compensation programs, ecotourism, and regulation of land leases based on ecosystem services. Voskehat is a strong advocate for environmental education, raising awareness about biodiversity issues among the public and policymakers. These efforts include educational programs, public lectures, and involvement in environmental campaigns to promote sustainable practices. She has co-authored articles and research papers on nature protection and biodiversity, which serve as valuable resources for researchers, conservationists, and policymakers working to protect Armenia's natural environment. She also leads Armenia's obligations under international treaties related to the management of specially protected areas, actively participating in various working groups of the Convention on Biological Diversity and other international agreements. The Natural Capital Project at Stanford and the Asian Development Bank are very pleased to present Voskehat and with this award, recognizing a leadership role in promoting a sustainable future for Armenia and the world. Let's give a warm welcome to Voskehat.
Maybe stand here.
And the third winner is Sofia Aroca Ortuzar. Sofia is managing advisor of the Green Finance Division with the Chile Ministry of Finance and serves as the technical secretariat or chief of staff to the Chilean government's groundbreaking Natural Capital Committee. She has played a key role in supporting the committee since its formation in 2022, when it was launched by President Gabriel Boric. The committee's mission is to advise the president on measuring, valuing, conserving, and restoring the country's natural capital and incorporating the value of nature and its ecosystem services into public and private decision-making processes. It is an innovative interministerial initiative led by the Ministry of the Environment, the Ministry of Finance, and the Ministry of Economy, Development, and Tourism. The committee also includes representatives from the Central Bank of Chile and the National Council of Science, Technology, Knowledge, and Innovation for Development. Over the past year, Sofia has helped the committee engage in extensive consultations and research and developed a roadmap for the country to integrate nature and biodiversity into its sustainable development strategy and economic policies. She has also worked closely and effectively with the Natural Capital Project at Stanford and the Inter-American Development Bank on a pilot project as part of the People, Planet, Prosperity collaboration, including organizing a regional forum for Latin America and the Caribbean in Chile this coming September. The Natural Capital Project at Stanford and the Inter-American Development Bank are very impressed with the innovation underway to mainstream natural capital information across sectors in Chile and the inspiration it is providing, it's proving to be for many other countries in Latin America and around the world. We applaud Sofia's key role in this effort, and are pleased to present her with this award. Please give a warm welcome to Sophia. Well, thank you very much. That's enough of me. Now the real people are here. Thank you.
Okay. Great.
Oh, wow. um, I'm very much honored to be here and to receive this award. So before I tell all of you about me and my journey through this work of natural capital accounting, let me give a few remarks in honor of this award. I'm deeply honored to stand before you today as the recipient of the inaugural Natural Capital Young Leaders Prize. This recognition is not just a personal milestone, but a testament to the collective spirit and dedication of the natural capital accounting community of practice in Africa. Together, we have embarked on a journey to respond to the growing demand for sustainable development practices, ensuring that our natural wealth is accounted for and preserved for future generations. Our efforts in capacity development, resource mobilization, and knowledge exchange across more than 20 World Bank member countries have been fueled by a shared vision of a greener and more resilient future. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the selection committee, Stanford University, the NatCap project, for this esteemed award, and to all my colleagues, mentors, and partners in the Africa Community of Practice and at the World Bank. Your unwavering support and collaboration have been the cornerstone of our success. As we celebrate this achievement, let us also renew our commitment to the cause of natural capital. Let us continue to work hand in hand to innovate and to empower each other as we strive to make a lasting impact on the world. Thank you once again for this incredible honor. I'm inspired and motivated to continue this important work with even much greater passion and dedication. Thank you so much. Now, let me tell you a story about what really put me on this course. Growing up, I grew up in a rural area in the northern part of Zambia. For those of you who know Zambia, the northern part is one of the areas that is really rich, both in forests, waterfalls, as well as national parks. It's good for its tourism. And every time I went to school, I went through this path. I would go into the bush, run into the bush, and pick up fruits. They came so free. I could run in and just pick. So which means I had my break. Every time I needed something, I could just run in with my friends. And that made I found something that defined my community and myself as coming from a very rich community. And then I grew up. Growing up, I read the story of my country, defined as a poor nation, and only because it was valued on one asset. So my inspiration is my country of origin, Zambia, a nation characterized by its subnational copper reserves. And sometimes it's referred to poetically as a country born with a copper spoon in its mouth. That's a very narrow definition of the wealth of a country. And it's that inspired my effort to try and look at things with different perspective. And that made me realize that we needed to be valued differently. If only we were valued by the rich forests, if only we were valued by the tourism that this country had, we would not be called a poor nation. And then growing up more, going to even university, I read now more about more African countries, and I say it's the same story. And then when I look at the map, the richness of this continent, I said there's something that is different here. We must do something different. In my last mission before I traveled, I was again in the northern part of Zambia, because I work a lot on natural landscape management projects. And I met this group of young kids going to school. That was my aha moment. It reminded me of me and moving through the bushes, the richness that was there. And then I say, no one should ever tell you that you come from a poor country. You should always know you come from the most rich country because you have the richness in you and you have the richness around you. So then I go to the World Bank, and being at the World Bank, I have been working on natural capital accounting through this community of practice. In my work, I refer to the words of Joseph Stiglitz, which actually really talks about what you measure determines what you do. If you're measuring the wrong thing, you're not going to do the right thing. So we must measure the right thing for us to do the correct thing. Measuring of our wealth has only been narrowed by GDP. And so this is something that pushed me to actually see how can we measure, how can we explore more ways that our wealth is actually measured. Imagine a world where Africa's natural resources are not just seen as commodities to be exploited, but as avenues for innovation, job creation, and sustainable development. Look at the richness in that picture. There's just so much that is derived from there. But when you look at what these countries are defined by, it's really either one single resource. So natural capital accounting has opened that door to actually define nations much more than one resource. And that actually harmonizes with my own values that I hold dear to my heart. I belong to a community of practice. Some of the people in this picture in this room, these are the people that are doing the work. I may be the person receiving the award, but the award belongs to this group of people. And we have been working together to advance natural capital accounting in Africa, to see that this is mainstreamed in policy, integrated in policy, exploring the benefits, the environmental benefits, but also ensuring that the people that are living with these natural resources are at the heart, they're at the center. Because we cannot, even if we measure, who are we measuring it for? Who do we want to say there's development for? It is the people. So this group of people in Africa leading this community of practice are spearheading that work. So it's not a solo performance to actually run either a community of practice or to do this work that we're doing with NCA. It must be done in collaboration. So this community of practice has a lot of people a lot of partners that are supporting this work. So it's a code to say it's not a solo performance. We must join hands. The number of achievements that I could just quickly talk about with this community of practice, most of them were talked about in my profile. But this is a membership of over 48 countries, 500 members, and it's a place for people to exchange and to learn and to push each other to do something different. So when a country visits the other, they see, oh, South Africa is doing this. As Botswana, what are we doing? Let's do what South Africa is doing. As Ghana, let's do what Nigeria is doing, or let's do what South Africa is doing. That's what this community of practice has been able to do. A strong regional platform that's providing that network. It can be a platform to actually maximize as well as have sustainability in this call for natural capital accounting. And it has proven. There was this big forum that we had alongside the Climate Change Summit. It was a big thing. And countries came together. We signed a declaration which showed for commitment as well as effort that each country is doing. Let me end with this. My own vision, today it may seem like it's a vision focused on Africa and built from my story of Zambia, but it's a global vision. It's a vision that brings all of you here talking about the same thing. And most importantly, I would like to see a world, starting with my home, because they say charity begins at home. So my own region, to support African nations in integrating natural capital accounting into national statistics and policy making and investment processes. And we can do that. I didn't mention my part-time exercise. I do lecturing. And when I lecture, I want to bring in a cadre of young people to have the same values. I lecture development economics, agriculture economics, and environmental economics. And these are the principles that I talk about. And that, for me, it gives me the relief that the stage is set. There's just so much that we can do. And I will end here. Thank you so much.
Dear organizers, colleagues, guests, I welcome everyone on this important occasion. I want to express my sincere gratitude for this opportunity. I am deeply honored by the trust and confidence you have placed in me. Especially thanks to the Asian Development Bank and Stanford University Natural Capital Project. Thank you very much. Now about Armenia. Armenia is a land-located mountainous country with an area just below 30,000 square kilometers and a population of 3 million. A capital city is Yerevan, the largest city in the country. Biodiversity in Armenia, Armenia's diverse ecosystems and rich biodiversity are due to its varied landscapes and climates. The country has 10 distinct climate zones, each supporting different species. Armenia is the key crossroad for plants and animal regions and bird migration paths, boosting exceptional biodiversity. It ranks among the top countries globally for the density of the high vascular plants, with about 107 species per square kilometer. Biodiversity conservation is mainly implemented in the protected areas, concentrating 60 to 70% of the flora and fauna species, including rare and endangered species. State policy. Ministry of Environment, biodiversity conservation efforts are based on 4 main pillars: normative, territorial, species conservation, and reproduction. The Department of Specially Protected Areas of Nature and Biodiversity Policy, which I head, plays a significant role. Our main goals are increase the efficiency of biodiversity conservation and sustainable use, enhance protected areas management based on ecosystem services, and expand the network. Key objectives include developing management plans, protected areas, focusing on ecosystem services, completing the inventory of natural monuments and developing ecotourism, finalizing data on fauna and flora, including Red Book revision, implementing a biodiversity monitoring system, improving the effectiveness of resettlement and reproduction programs of species like the red deer and savan trout, developing programs for SNCOs, managing protected areas based on ecosystem services. Now, I want to tell you who I am and how I got this position and what is my role in it. I was born in a small village in the Arad region, surrounded by the beautiful Arad Valley and the majestic mountain Ararat. My childhood was filled with nature trips organized by my father, a passionate nature lover. These outings were not just recreation, they were immersive experiences where I felt the pulse of the land, heard stories of our majestic mountains, history, monasteries, and wild animals. Growing up in this environment, I developed the deep love for our natural heritage. I remember feeling a profound connection to the landscapes and ecosystems that provided us with so much, from fresh water, fresh air and clean water to food and cultural diversity. In school, I was particularly drawn to geography. I loved reading about mountain formation, geology, and wildlife diversity. Jacques-Yves Cousteau's documentaries further fueled my passion to the natural world. My professional journey began as a geography teacher, a role that allowed me to share my love with nature with young minds. This position eventually led me to become the head of the Department of Specially Protected Areas of Nature and Biodiversity Policy. Challenges and motivations. Significant challenges is understanding how local low-income population benefit from ecosystem services and balancing this with my legislative and institutional mandate. In many cases, communities depend on their surrounding resources, and making a balanced decision can contribute to both the preservation of nature and the appreciation of real value, as well as to the improvement the people's quality of life. Biodiversity loss has accelerated due in industry, agriculture, urbanization, energy, and ecosystem exploration. Main threats include habitats change, over-exploration, pollution, illegal logging, tourism, invasive species, climate change, and poor irrigation system. The most impacted ecosystems are forests, semi-deserts, steppes, and Lake Severn's aquatic ecosystem. My motivation comes from contributing to resolving fundamental issues through small steps. As a public official and nature enthusiast, I am committed to expecting all efforts, engaging resources and people, and fulfilling my responsibilities. Participation in international meetings and experience exchanges enhance my skills and motivation. I hope that these things that you can read can begin as a step-by-step toward our goals of valuing ecosystems. In summary, my vision for the future of leadership in biodiversity protection in Armenia is one of the integrated, science-driven, and community-focused strategies, supported by strong international cooperation and adaptive management. Through dedicated leadership and collective action, I believe we can secure a thriving and resilient natural environment for future generations. Now I want to share with you a short video about Armenia. I am grateful for the opportunity to speak here today, and thanks everyone once again. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here until this hour. I feel very honored. Thank you for the University of Stanford for this space to talk about natural capital as well. So at the same time that I'm very honored, I have to say that I'm the visible face of a team. So this award goes also to all the team that is here and back in Chile and that are working in the Natural Capital Committee. For us, this award is very important because we are aiming for a paradigm shift with the creation of the Natural Capital Committee, and this recognition of our work strengthens our commitment on this path. So first, this is Chile, the picture that is there. We go through the driest desert in the world to this amazing Patagonia in the south, passing through amazing forests, and we have an amazing coastline as well. So when I was asked to share my journey about this, I had to deeply think when I started, and I believe this started with my parents. Both study economics, and my mother, that loves that, from when I was that age, she was always asking me questions such as, do you think that the $2 that this candy costs will give you the happiness that it values? So when I grew up, when I would start working in other exercises and playing with things such as guessing how much of the price was profit or cost, and then how much of that cost was distributed along the production chains. Since I was gathering more and more information, I feel that something was wrong. Something wasn't matching. My mathematics weren't going very well. For example, how could a shirt cost $5? I thought like somewhere in the world there's a cotton field, somebody had to harvest it, then somebody has to make a thread. That thread went to a company. That company somebody was working there. Somebody had to put design and put energy and put a lot of different other components. Then that went to a truck. That truck went to a port. In that port, it was all around the world to Chile. In Chile, that went to a truck again, and then to a store. And there was in front of me this $5 T-shirt. So something was missing, definitely. So that's why when the natural capital approach was introduced to me years ago when I was working in the cabinet of staff of the Ministry of the Undersecretary of Finance, I was mesmerized. I was like, that's an aha moment. This is what it is. This is what is left there. So nature was taken for granted. It was weighted by zero in all the equations. After that, years later, in 2022, I was working in the President cabinet when the proposal of creating the Natural Capital Committee arrived. And I was thrilled and very honored, not honored, I felt proud and enthusiastic with this idea. And I was fortunate enough to be in charge of the technical secretariat of the committee. That's why I am here now, and we have talked a lot about our committee as well. All the people that is there from Chile work there, and we are all very committed with this project and that. So I needed to include this significant catalyst in this journey. Between these two jobs that I have in the Ministry of Finance both times, I went to live to Patagonia for 4 years, where I was lucky and fortunate enough to choose to go to those mountains every day that I wanted after work, or even sometimes in my lunch hour. So I could just sit there and feel and see and listen what was happening. And I was mesmerized about the peace, tranquility, the abundance that was there, the balance that it existed, and how in this pristine nature, without humans there, everything was perfect. So everyone was well. Every human being, every living being was well. So I was really surprised about how every single part was doing its own work in order to keep this balance, from lichens to pumas. And I can say that these are all my pictures that I took there. Everyone was in charge of something. So lichens were in charge of colonize the rock in order to pathway the other vegetation, and pumas were in charge of ensuring that there was not overpopulation of nothing, so there's enough for all. So each one took their share and gives back something with total humility and again in perfect balance. So what do we take and we do give back was constantly a question that resonates inside me profoundly over time. So that's why I sit there all the time, and when I came back to Santiago, I had this passion deeply more for natural capital and what we can achieve from there. So my dream for Chile and the world is that by valuing nature, we also value these virtues, so that we can replicate this peace and this balance and that abundance that is in nature in all the rest of human communities as well. So this symposium fills me with hope, all you here working in that same direction, and also all the growing global consciousness and the willingness of countries and different organizations, multilaterals, to allocate resources for research, technology, development, methodologies, designs, even financial sector to pursue these purposes. So thank you, Gretchen, Mary, Adrian, Hector, Nadine, Jean, Jerome, and all the NatCap team. I'm sorry if I'm missing somebody, for being such an inspiration for me on this late journey.